I have frequently discussed the trials and tribulations faced by parents who seek tolerable entertainment options for their children. Really, we would prefer something wholesome and enriching, but that very often proves to be too high a bar, so we'll settle for tolerable, which simply means that it's a children's show or film that doesn't engage in left-wing brainwashing and isn't so loud, stupid, and obnoxious that we can't stand to be in the room when it's on. This is a bar high enough that 99% of all modern children's entertainment cannot hope to clear it, and it whittles the options down considerably, so that we can, we can feel pretty safe with whatever few options are left. And one of the options left is a show that listeners of this podcast first alerted me to. It not only clears the not woke, not obnoxious bar, but even manages the extremely rare feat of hurdling the actively wholesome and enriching bar, which is way up here. Bluey is a cartoon originally out of Australia about a family of blue heeler dogs. Bluey herself, the older daughter in the family, is the main character, but most episodes prominently feature her family members, her younger sister, her mom, and her dad. And the dad is named Bandit in the show, probably the show's most beloved character. And the show is funny, it's entertaining, it's clever. And although the characters are anthropomorphic animals, the family dynamics are, pretty realistic and also positive. The dad character especially is a source of comedy, which for most modern entertainment would mean that he's a stupid, bumbling oaf and the butt of all the jokes, but that's not the case in this show. Bandit is portrayed as an attentive and engaged father who leads a happy cartoon family. The show is not a work of towering artistic genius, probably not gonna be the kind of thing that people are studying and talking about 500 years from now. That's fine. It's a wholesome children's show. It's fine, it's good, it's normal. And that's why the woke crowd is absolutely determined to ruin it. So let's trace this, the history of the woke crowd going after Bluey. It's been a long campaign, a long battle they've been waging. Back in 2021, there's a journalist named Beverly Wang, wrote an article for ABC, which is the Australian broadcasting company in this case. And she applauded the show for being, as she says, tender, nuanced, and joyful. And yet at the same time, she criticized it for its lack of representation. In an article that I'm 99% sure isn't supposed to be satire, Wang wrote, quote, "As a parent of color, I am always conscious of the presence or absence of diverse representation in kids' pop culture, what it means for children, the conversations we have around that. I sincerely believe you don't have to be other to think about this too. We live in a world where the majority of main characters on children's television are white, where there are more animals than people of color protagonists populating the pages of children's books. Where are the disabled, queer, poor, gender diverse dogs of color and single-parent dog families in Bluey's Brisbane? If they're in the background, well, let them come forward." Now, the most obvious answer here is that the show does feature dogs of color. The color is blue, hence the name of the show. Does it overrepresent the blue-colored community? Does it make blue people feel more welcome and included at the expense of otherizing those in the audience who might be, pink or green or purple or some other color? Perhaps. But these seem like minor complaints. Does the show fail to include queer and, quote, gender diverse dogs, whatever that means? Again, yes, but that's because the makers of Bluey, made the provocative decision to not turn the show into a vehicle for sexual indoctrination. And thank God for that. As to the lack of poor dogs and single-parent family dogs and disabled dogs and dogs with hearing difficulties and dogs with ADHD and dogs with food allergies and illegal immigrant dogs, dogs with sleep apnea, dogs with eczema, etc. These boxes are not checked, but that's because the show is not trying to check boxes. It's just trying to tell a story, a very simple story to children. Given that none of the children in the audience are dogs and none of them have dog parents, none of them will feel represented in the extremely literal way that the left demands. But that's a good thing, because worthwhile children's entertainment is supposed to activate a child's imagination. You don't want to put a child into a box and then give him a character tailor-made for that box and say, here you go, child, this is your character. You can relate to him. This is the one assigned to you, so you can relate to this character specifically. Instead, you want a child to use his imagination and use that to engage with and relate to the characters. For example, right now, the fictional characters that resonate the most with my 3-year-old daughter are Spider-Man and Elsa from Frozen. And that doesn't mean she's gender fluid, half boy and half girl. It means that she's an imaginative toddler, and that's a good thing. Biden's plans to help struggling business owners in the wake of COVID lockdowns were to prioritize Black, Latino, Native American, and women-owned businesses. It goes without saying that if the roles were reversed, if Biden had said that his plans were to prioritize white male-owned businesses, there would have been outrage. Well, if you own a business, you can't rely on the government to bail you out. You need to take matters into your own hands, and innovation refunds can help you do just that. If your business has 5 or more employees and managed to survive COVID, you could be eligible to receive a payroll tax rebate of up to $26,000. That's per employee through the Employee Retention Credit. Just go to getrefunds.com. Innovation Refunds has already helped clients claim over $3 billion in payroll tax refunds through the ERC, and they may be able to help your business too. This is not a loan. There's no payback. It's a refund of your taxes. Simple as that. There's no upfront charge either. They don't get paid until your business gets its refund. So don't let this opportunity pass you by. See if your business qualifies for ERC assistance in just 8 minutes. Go to getrefunds.com, click on Qualify Me, and answer a few questions. This payroll tax refund is only available for a limited amount of time. Don't miss out. Go to getrefunds.com, getrefunds.com. But that was only the first woke attack launched against Bluey. A year later, 2 Australian academics published an article taking aim at Bandit, the dad character, noting a, quote, darker side to this lovable character. They claim that Bandit, quote, never strays far from reductive stereotypes, bemoaning the fact that he is a, quote, likable, roguish male stuck between childhood and adulthood whose disrespect of authority and rough and ready masculinity reflects Australia's emotional attachment to the working class underdog. The writers also take Bandit to task for incidents of alleged bullying because of the ways that he playfully teases his children in the show. He's bullying them. And they scold the cartoon dog for being, quote, surprisingly conservative when it comes to gender values. In other words, as already established, the dad character is portrayed as normal, masculine, funny, which is why he's so popular and relatable with the audience, and also why leftist weirdo academics are so concerned about him. Fast forward another year to this past week, and we have the next woke assault on a family of fictional cartoon dogs. An episode in season 3 titled Exercise opens with Bandit stepping on a scale in the bathroom. And then he says, oh man, I need to do some exercise. And that's the scene. It's a scene that, may seem utterly uncontroversial and unremarkable to you, but that's because you're a normal human being. To the left, however, the scene is problematic. And that's how it was described by this alleged child development expert on TikTok, who has a PhD, by the way. And she wants to explain why we should be very concerned about this scene in Bluey. Listen.
Bluey recently screwed up in a pretty big way, and it's made a lot of people angry. But basically, there's a brand new episode called Exercise, where at the start, Bandit, Bluey's dad, grabbed his belly, I'll show you a picture here, and kind of just looks at it and goes to the scale, weighs himself and goes, oh, I need to do exercise. That in and of itself is a really problematic narrative to have on a children's television show when we know that most girls by the time they're 9 think about dieting, think they're overweight, and really have a problem with body image already. There's a couple ways to solve this problem. The first one is that we just not let the kids watch the episode, but that's not really going to work because kids are going to see this messaging in many places throughout their lives. So it's actually better to use this episode of a relatively safe children's television show to start the discussion about body image, about how we treat our body, about not body positivity or body negativity, but body neutrality. Because the truth is, it doesn't matter what your body looks like, it matters how it feels. And that's the most important thing that we need to teach our children.
Not really the point, but that I never had the Vegemite stuff, but it could not look less appealing. It basically looks like is it like black tar and coffee grinds that you smear on your toast with butter? Body neutrality, she says. Of course, telling society to be neutral about obesity, it's like telling lifeguards to practice drowning neutrality. Whether somebody is swimming or drowning, it's not up for us to judge. Drowning is just as valid an experience as swimming. Who are we to tell people whether they should be at the surface of the water or beneath it? Just as we should draw no distinctions between a physically fit person and a person who is morbidly obese. Sure, the obese person is literally dying in front of us. It's killing themselves, destroying their bodies, their skeletal structures, their internal organs. But that's just how they've chosen to live and express themselves and die. Certainly wouldn't want to send the problematic message that being healthy and living a long life is somehow better than being extremely fat and dying of a heart attack when you're 42. This, anyway, was the argument made by various leftists on TikTok. And in this case, the first two attacks fell flat. This one actually resonated. At least it resonated with the ABC, which decided to cut that scene from the episode. They issued this statement, quote, "The recent episode of Bluey, Exercise, has been republished by the ABC following the decision by the makers of the program. The new version provides families with the opportunity to manage important conversations in their own way. As the home of Bluey, and the ABC supports the decision to re-edit the program, and we have updated the episode on our platforms. BBC Studios will use this revised version for global distribution and also support this decision." Well, that's a relief. Now children who watch that episode of Bluey will not be exposed to any objectionable content encouraging them to engage in inappropriate behavior, such as, exercising. This is the left's rules for children's entertainment. That's the rule. It cannot be normal, it cannot be wholesome, and it cannot encourage moral or physical improvement. The last rule is the most important to them. And as long as Bluey continues to violate these rules, it will remain a target. They won't be satisfied until Bluey is rewritten as a show about morbidly obese gay dogs with body dysmorphia and clinical depression. That's what they want. And if the makers of the show ever succumb to that pressure, they'll be the ones who are canceled. But for now, it is Bluey's cancelers who are today canceled. That'll do it for this portion of shows. Move over to Members Block. You can become a member today by using code Walsh at checkout for 2 months free on all annual plans. Hope to see you there. If not, talk to you tomorrow. Godspeed.